Hey everybody, today I just wanted to do a quick video and talk a little bit about how easy it is to connect an Xbox One controller to your computer and talk to it in LabVIEW. So this is basically a way that you can plug in and it does have to be Windows compatible, so there's a lot of different game controllers out there. As long as they are Windows compatible, this should work with just about whichever one. So I've seen some more like NES style ones that you can get through like Adafruit, etc., that are Windows compatible. This is just using an Xbox One controller. And yeah, there's probably a lot more out there. Same idea, right? Some of the mapping of these buttons and stuff will be different, so you might need to go in and test yours and map things a little differently based off of the type of controller. But I'll show you how you can do this, and it's actually all super simple. So I just have this simple VI to test. And so all we really need to do this is these input. So if you go to connectivity and input device control, these input device control functions are all that we need. So we're going to use the query input devices. So this is going to return information about all of the joysticks, keyboards, mouses that are connected. Now we're interested in joysticks here. So your your Xbox controller is going to show up as a joystick. And once we've found our Xbox controller, we are going to initialize the joystick. And then we can acquire input data, and that's going to let us know, button information, different axes information on our Xbox controller, and then when we're done, close input. So these four functions is all that you really need, and then everything else is just kind of processing of the data. So. But yeah, let's take a look at this simple example. So I'm querying input devices, and specifically I am looking for a device that contains the name Xbox in it. So when you query your joystick, you're going to get information such as the device name, but you're also going to get to see how many different axes there are on it, different buttons, and POV. I'm ignoring all of that initially and just saying, hey, find the joystick that contains the name Xbox in it. So this is a good way to do it, to just find any Xbox controller. So some of them will have different names that may include the manufacturer of the Xbox controller. So if you hard code like GameSir T7 Xbox controller or something like that, it'll work great for that specific controller. But if you plug in a different branded one, it might not have that name. And so yeah, doing a search based off of Xbox is a good way to do that. And you could make this be case insensitive as well. I didn't here. But so yeah, and then I'm just grabbing the first one that was found to be a match. Obviously, there's not any error handling in place here. For if none were found, right, it's going to try to connect to the first thing, which will just be a 0. So yeah, I'm aware. Just making a simple example here. Then we're going to initialize that joystick, and then we just have a little loop set up where we're just going to over and over and over again read that input data, and we'll take a look at all that data. And then when we're all done, we're going to close out the input device. So just do that until I click the stop button. So this acquire input data function is returning all this information. So we have our axis information. So it's returning us basically this cluster of data. So we have x-axis, y-axis, z-axis, rotation, u-axis, v-axis. And I'm just converting that cluster to an array and then to a double floating point. And we'll show you what that looks like. And then I'm eventually converting that to a cluster that gives us this nice axis information. So our left stick X, our left stick Y, our triggers, and then our right stick X and right stick Y. So again, that's just processing to basically map what is what so I can represent the numbers well. This is, again, specific to Xbox controller, so if you are using a different controller, you'll definitely want to, I would just put these raw indicators before any conversion on your front panel, and then just press buttons and see, okay, yeah, when I pressed, the X button, that's this. And then that will help you get your mapping and everything. So yeah, that's how I'm doing the axes. The buttons, it just returns this cluster of button 1, button 2, button 3, button 4, etc. And so I'm just converting that to an array of buttons, and then I'm typecasting that to a cluster. And the cluster I have specifically mapped, right? So I know, well, button 1 is A, button 2 is B, on and on and on through all of our different buttons. And then we're using this last one, the direction information, to actually get our D-pad value. And this is just going to be returning basically an angle, right? So somewhere between 0 and 360 degrees based off where we're pressing on the D-pad on the Xbox controller. And that's really all it takes to talk to an Xbox controller in LabVIEW. Really kind of cool because Xbox controllers, they're cheap, right? You can go buy one for, $20, $30. Despite being cheap though, they're pretty high quality. There's a lot of buttons in them. They're producing large volumes, so they're able to really bring that cost down. So you can get actually a pretty decent little handheld controller for relatively cheap. So yeah, and it's kind of fun just to play around with. You can build all sorts of cool stuff with LabVIEW that you can control right from an Xbox controller, and that could be a wired controller or a wireless controller. So for this example, I'm using a wired controller. There's not actually a reason you couldn't use a wireless one as well. So yeah, there's our simple example. Now I kind of have a video to kind of demo this. For whatever reason, this computer I record all these on just will not take a joystick of any kind. So I recorded this on a separate computer. So yeah, I'll just kind of play this. So we run the example we ran. I can press different buttons and you can see them light up over here. I can, press the different triggers, the sticks, etc. And you can see things light up. I can move the D-pad and you can see it go between things like 90 degrees, 180, etc. And I can press all of the different buttons and we're able to read the status of all of those. So super, super simple, really cool. I think it's fun to get that stuff working and, add, kind of cool handheld controls to a LabVIEW based system, whether that be a hobby project or a professional project. So yeah, that would be how you can connect an Xbox controller to LabVIEW using the input device control functions. Thanks for watching.
Canon Controls is your gateway to mastering LabVIEW. Dive into programming for data acquisition, industrial communications, and manufacturing automation. Explore how to enhance your projects with cybersecurity best practices. Join the journey to elevate your skills and secure your systems with every episode.